Hut hut! We are Three in the Box Sports Podcast, and this is the weekly Huddle-Up. We have a lot of NFL news scores, and we'll recap all that was Week 7 in the NFL season. All that and more coming up. Welcome in. This is the weekly Huddle Up, and we're Three in the Box. As always, I'm your number one box, Frost. That's the number two box, Big Keith. Once again, sadly, we are short our number third box, Mr. Jordan. Where's he at, Keith?
He's at Dallas Cowboys open tryouts. He went to the He's tired of losing. He went in. Put on the jersey. He's tired of being a loser. He put the jersey on.
Hey, I'll give him this. He is a fan through and through.
Yes, he
through
is.
And through.
You know,
didn't hop on the old waiver wire and sign a waiver, but hey, listen, there's room on the ship, Jordan. There's room on the ship. Come on over. Them Bucks are hot.
For anyone that says the only reason why I did is I'm diehard. I'm Jets through and through. It's to the point where I want to at least enjoy watching football on Sundays. So I have to go to a team that actually plays football. Like, I don't know what the Jets do on Sundays.
Oh, you might get some slap for this. First, before we get in the NFL news, we like to just jump right in and think, but first we have to pay the bills. Shout out to our official and unofficial sponsor,
Bud Light.
That's right. That's the one finger flip. Anyways.
Refreshing, hydrates you.
All right. Usually Jordan gives us a lowdown on the NFL scores. All that was Week 7 in the NFL. But I'm gonna do my best again and fill you in and recap you all that was last week. We did have a Thursday game. New York Giants. I can hear Jordan now, man. Now we got another shit bowl.
The shit bowl Thursdays.
New York Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Now,
you know what? It was exciting for all the wrong reasons.
The Eagles did pull it out, 22-21 over the Giants. Carson Wentz had a
I don't know
weird
what that
game.
was.
It was a weird game, but his final stats were still 359 yards passing and 3 total touchdowns. But I don't know if you watched this game. It was just weird. And then on top of that, you see Daniel Jones, 94-yard run. And Turf Monster tackled him.
Casper tackled him.
You've seen that a lot this
Casper
past
down
week.
and tackled him.
Oh, man.
That doesn't sum up the NFC East, I really don't know what does.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm going to tell for any young kid out there that wants to play quarterback, do not watch a Carson Wentz highlight tape, because that is not how you play.
He's such a good talent. I don't know what's going on. That division is the worst in the NFL, obviously.
I can't.
But it's got to be worst in NFL history.
I can't tell you, because usually if a division's bad, you still have one team that leads the pack. You know what I mean? But it's to the point where, people are joking and stuff, but you were going to have a team hosting a playoff game with a not only a losing record. I'm talking about they should be in a top 5 pick situation.
3 teams in the NFC East tied 2 wins. But I guess the Eagles are ahead because they have that one tie.
Every week you can sit here and now you can say Washington looks like the best team in the division. You know what I mean? Every week you can just randomly pick a team and say, listen, they look good.
And a shout out to Coach Ron Rivera doing his last chemo session, getting that ringing that bell. What a great story.
Good guy.
And,
they're gonna
wish him all the best. But let's keep it moving. We're moving on to Sunday. Steelers and Titans, arguably the game of the game of Sunday, right? It
I would
was
say
a battle of the undefeateds. Somebody's
top
gonna come out with a
AFC.
loss. Two upcoming teams, obviously contenders for the Super Bowl. The Steelers pulled it out 27-24, and they moved on to what are they? The only undefeated
Only
team in the
undefeated
NFL
team.
now. And then the Titans lose. But it's a tough game, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Gostowski makes that field goal with 19 seconds left. They go into overtime. Who knows what happens?
yeah, I mean, if I'm Tennessee right now, it wouldn't hurt to bring in some kickers and maybe look at a different route. Unfortunately, the Titans, excuse me, they're too good to be losing by missed kicks like that. Like when and the AFC gets down to it, that's what costs you games and that's what costs you standings.
Gostowski is just unreliable.
At this point,
Coach Vrabel's got to be like, every time it goes in, and it's just like, oh, God.
yeah,
Like,
especially and the
should we
thing is,
just go for it?
you're people out there be like, well, they shouldn't have been in the position. And well, you know what? They were in that position.
Steelers are a
Tannehill
really good team.
Tannehill tucked that team down to the perfect field goal spot. You can't ask any more of the offense at that point, and you shank a kick.
Hey, Steelers, foreshadowing into my power rankings, they've got to be the best team in the league.
Oh
But
yeah,
we'll keep it moving. Hold on, Keith. We'll keep it moving. Panthers, Saints, battle in the NFC South. NFC South's got to be the second toughest division. NFC West is the hardest. What do you think?
I would say yeah. I would never say the West is the toughest and well,
It's tough because the Falcons just hurt us
yeah,
altogether.
the AFC North. Yeah, I would say yeah, the Steelers, Browns, of the NFC, yes, that would be the second.
Well, the Saints won that game 27-24 in a close one against the Panthers. And the Saints are now 4-2. Saints win as quarterback Drew Brees throws for 287 yards and accounts for 3 total touchdowns. And I mean, it's good. The Saints are always going to be in the hunt.
The only
right?
thing I would say when you watch the Saints play, they're an average 4-2 team. Like the Saints don't scare me. Like when you
Drew
watch
Brees
them play,
Drew Brees is like, you feel like he's on the out.
yeah, he's losing arm. You can clearly see he's losing arm strength.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. The defense, it's good, but it's beatable. And the problem is they have no wide Mike Thomas. For all your fantasy people out there, he's probably the bust of the first round.
Yeah.
Easily, outside of barring injuries from anyone else. Just the off the field antics, and then you're missing games now because of it. You're killing. I mean, they're 4-2 without Mike Thomas. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen when he comes back, but at the moment, the Saints don't scream they're going to be a hard out in the NFC.
I get that. Well, let's keep moving. Packers and Texans. Packers rebound after that loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 35-20 victory over the Texans. Packers move to 5-1. Texans have 1 win on the season. They're 1-6.
Without a first round pick. Thanks, Bill O'Brien. Thanks.
Yeah, wow, you talk about effing a franchise. Jesus. I don't know if he thought he knew what he was doing, or he was just like, I hate this franchise. They're gonna want me out of here. I'm gonna screw everything up.
So basically, that pick is Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah,
because that's what it was traded. Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills.
Well, Rodgers throws for 283 yards and 4 touchdowns, and typical Packers, man.
Too, so
people will get on him about last week's loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and typical Aaron Rodgers fashion, he'll bounce back and do the RELAX, relax. That's what he does. He's cool, man. He's cool. Moving on to Keith's New York Jets in the Battle of New York against the Bills. Bills and Jets. Jets were winning that game, weren't they? Pray in the heavens, man. You pray for that team. The Jets were winning that game for a majority of
They
the
were.
time,
The first
10 to
half,
0, and scored the only touchdown in the whole game, and you lose.
yeah. I think what happened was Josh Allen's friends with Sam Darnold. He's like, listen, I'll let you, I'll talk to the team, let them know. Listen, we need to give them some kind of film to give to somebody else, because when they came out of the locker room, the Jets had a total of 6 yards in the second half.
Oh, man.
Six
That's
yards
dismal.
for anybody out there. You can walk that. Like, there's anybody out there. Like,
That's tough, man. Like, I had high hopes for the Bills. They've had two weird losses. And to struggle with the Jets, you can't even punch it in the end zone. That offense is a huge question mark. But still got the victory.
the offense kind of is stalled a little bit in Buffalo. But my concern, it's the defense. Like the year before, the Bills' defense was top four, I think, in the league. They're hanging on by a thread right now, and I don't know if a lot of it's some of the guys missed time from COVID, injuries, whatnot. But Buffalo, they started out red hot, and then they cooled down. But they're lucky they're in another crap division outside of Miami. That's the only threat they're going to have.
We'll get into the Patriots. Good Lord.
Yeah,
Anyways, let's move back into the NFC East, an elite division in the NFL. Washington football team versus the Dallas Cowboys. Washington football team won that game for Coach Ron Rivera, 25-3, and the Cowboys. They look. I don't think bad is a good way to assess it. It's awful. Like I don't even know like a good word.
Their problems aren't even football related.
Yeah, it's gotta be inside.
For anybody out there that maybe saw Dan Orlovsky's thing on Get Up ESPN, we're fans of the show. Give us a follow if anyone's listening out there. Mike Green, Jets fan. They hit it right on the nail. That team has no fight, and they don't care. You can after that when Andy Dalton got rocked by John Bostic. I don't care what anyone says. That's a dirty play. Like you clearly intended to knock him out, and everyone stood there and did nothing. Like for everyone, if you remember the Mason Rudolph incident when Myles Garrett swung the helmet at him, and Mike Pouncey, DeCastro, I mean, it wasn't football at that point. They jumped him. They were kicking him in the head when he was on the ground. Like when you touch your quarterback, that's an immediate. You're getting hands thrown from any lineman. That's your job.
And that wasn't a touch. That was take this guy's head off.
And the thing is, like all these guys that have been there, and I get it's Andy Dalton. You might not be Dak Prescott to you, but that was still your teammate. I mean, how would you like it if you got knocked out like that and everyone stood there and did nothing for you?
It just shows.
Yeah, you have no fight.
Said.
You're telling everybody that, listen, man, we're just here for the year. I'm getting paid, and we'll see you next year.
And I was talking with Jordan. It just seems like that's how the fans are taking it too. Let's tank. Let's get a good get a good draft pick.
And it's funny because Cowboy fans are delusional as it is. Like you can't tell me that Jerry Jones is sitting upstairs and he's happy, or he's content with we're going to tank for a bad pick. It's beyond that. That number one pick isn't going to fix your defense. That defense is awful. I mean, awful.
Worse than the league.
I mean, you can talk about the Cowboys. I mean, but that team's got problems. I mean, they literally. It all started when that Xavier Woods guy said, "What player plays hard every time he's on the field?" That immediately told you that there's a disconnect between the players and the coaches.
And we go back to what we said earlier. It's so sad to think that they still have a really good chance to win the division and make the playoffs.
And the thing is, it shouldn't shock anybody if they do. Because on paper, they are more talented than everyone else.
They should be running all through people, but they do have some injuries on that offensive line, second and third string deep, but you got to find a way to win. Like, those leaders in that locker room, if you call them that, are... You got
it's non-existent.
All right, we'll keep it moving. The
Yeah,
Battle of Ohio. Bengals versus the Browns.
what would
Bengals
Jordan
put
say?
up a fight.
Battle of the shit state.
Yeah, I like Ohio. I can't say that. But the Bengals put up a good fight all the way to the end. Browns ended up pulling it off 37-34. Hard to believe these Bengals have only won one game this year. I feel like
The-
Joe, what'd you say, Keith?
oh, I was gonna hit what you just said there. Like Bengals fans, the record shouldn't indicate what the team is. Like
Yeah.
you should, if you're a Bengals fan, you should be happy to be like, listen, we're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
The record, you're gonna have to live with the record for now, but once you get protection for Burrow, you get him a good offensive line, some more receivers, and you kind of tweak the defense. That's gonna be a good team.
Yeah, you replace AJ Green, get another receiver in there. T. Higgins is an up and coming
Yeah,
star.
Tyler Boyd's really come out. I think they need an elite tight end, someone that they can work the middle a little bit. And
Uzomah
really, it's
was
offensive
good.
line.
It's just injuries.
Yeah, but I tell you, Joe Burrow, that's a solid pick for
Yeah.
you right there. Like you should,
Yeah.
you're a
Yeah,
Bengals.
like you said, the Bengals have nothing to. It's just you're just a
Yeah,
young team
let
coming
them
back.
develop together, and if you're a Bengals fan, you're smile. I'd be smiling right now.
Yeah, Browns win in a thrilling game on Baker Mayfield's fifth touchdown pass with 11 seconds remaining. Baker Mayfield had a good game.
He did. Lost Odell though. Lost Odell for the
Lost
year.
Odell, and if you have Jarvis Landry on your fantasy team, his stock just went up.
Yeah.
Let's keep it moving on to the Lions and Falcons in another close one. 23-22, the Lions won in a that
Zero
was a
time
last
left on the
second.
clock.
Yeah, that was the
Zero.
last play of the game, a touchdown.
Typical Falcons game though. That's how you're gonna lose.
I don't know if you guys watched it, but Todd Gurley had a chance to literally stop on the 1 yard line, and you drain the clock. That's it. He accidentally. You guys got to look at the play. He accidentally falls into the end zone, but tries to avoid it in such a way that he goes horizontal with the goal line, but still, like, it's like he was like, man, I really want this stat, but the team, nah. But it was interesting. You got to see how his body fell into the end zone, but like he said, typical Falcons fashion, they blow it in the final seconds of the game, and you can see the look on Arthur Blank's face. Oh God.
Yeah, they made the statement that they weren't going to trade Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. I don't after that game. I mean, you might as well.
Falcons are now 1-6 in a tough division, like we said, and yeah, might just want to move on. I don't know. Let's move on to them Tampa Bay Buccaneers, baby. First time playing the Raiders in a few years. First time playing against John Gruden in over a decade. And the Buccaneers did not disappoint. 45-20 victory over them Raiders. The Raiders in Las Vegas. In the Death Star is what they're calling it, right? The stadium.
Yeah.
Brady records 5 touchdowns, 4 of them passing, 1 rushing. All those people that got on Brady, man, it's so early. It's just, man, I just feel so happy for him. Like, I was never like, obviously when he was on the Patriots, you're just like, oh, I hate the Patriots, man. But I respect Tom Brady. But, man, I just love it right now. I just love it. The Patriots suck, and the Buccaneers are thriving. You go and watch their locker room tape. Everybody in there has just such a positive vibe and energy. And it's just, you're winning games. You're looking good doing it. And, Keith, what else can you say?
No, it's Tom Brady basically kicked back on the chair. Our unofficial official sponsors Bud Light had one in his hand, and he was like, "Just give me a little bit of time to work the kinks out, get back
He
into
had
shape."
no preseason, Keith. He
Yeah,
had no preseason.
yeah. You got Gronk
Week
back into
1
shape.
against the Saints. The Saints are a good team. That's tough.
Yeah, and you
Got
got to
Saints
think
fans
right
coming
now.
out the woodwork messaging me after week 1. Oh man, you thought
Oh,
Tom
yeah.
Brady was gonna save you? I know. Shout out to JJ, some bitch. But
Yeah, but I mean, the issue with Tampa right now, it's a revolving door at wide receiver. Mike Evans is
Oh,
dressing and playing, but
oh,
we'll get to it.
I don't know
You can
if
clearly tell he's hurt.
you got your head
Godwin is
head in
out.
the sand, but Tony Brown coming back.
Antonio Brown
I'm a
coming to Tampa.
little weary, but if anybody can get him right, it's Brady. And
Yeah, and he
you
already
know,
got his warning. He got his
Bruce
warning
Arians
from
has already
there.
worked with him back in Pittsburgh. So they have that, but he's on a short leash, which I
Very
like.
short.
Very
Very short.
short leash, which I like, and he's getting what 2.5 mil for 1 year. Um, but like you said, with the injuries that we have, Evans doesn't look 100%. Godwin broke his finger or
Broke his finger.
something,
He's out week 8 now.
and yeah, it is nice. Scotty Miller's been great, but to bring in a
Tyler
guy like
Johnson's
Antonio
looked
Brown,
good
it's
too,
so
but
credible. You gotta respect his speed. You gotta respect his ability. If he can just play football, just play
yeah,
football.
if we try to stay away from stuff like this. Out off the field tactics, yes, you can make that. Yeah, he's an idiot. He's a bad person. He's an asshole. If you want to subtract that and just look at on paper for football, statistically is the best wide receiver in the NFL. The Bucs signed the number 1 wide receiver in football. It's
Stats speak for themselves. We respect them numbers around here. And shout out to Max Kellerman for admitting that he was wrong about Tom
yes,
Brady
that he
falling off the
was washed
cliff.
up.
Tom Brady is not falling on the cliff. He's not even near the cliff. He's going to take
Yeah,
Tampa Bay to the promised
and
land.
that's a testament a lot to. I don't want to stay on the Bucs too long. I mean,
I could,
hey, you'll
but
hear
I
it.
get
You'll
what
hear it. But Brady, over his career, has protected himself. He never really, outside of the one bad year where he tore his ACL, he never really took that kind of hit. He was, again, I'll say it again, he was very much like Peyton Manning. If he knew he was going to get sacked, he would just drop down. He wouldn't let the hit get to him. He'd fall, let him get tagged, he's down.
Yeah.
You can say, yes, he's lost a little bit of arm strength. When you're that age, it's going to happen. But you were so there when you saw Peyton Manning at the end, he couldn't make throws at all. Like it was bad. Like Tom Brady can still make throws.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like he said, we could talk about the Bucks all day long. A good documentary to check out is Tom versus Time. It's a few years old, but it just shows his off-season regiment. And you gotta respect the GOAT. But let's keep moving. Let's move on to them Chiefs versus them Broncos. Chiefs 43, Broncos 16. Chiefs
Broncos look
moved to
bad, man.
6-1. Broncos got shellapped. That KCD and special teams shined bright with 2 touchdowns and 4 turnovers. And it's the Broncos. Injuries and I
Yeah,
don't know.
they're not there yet.
I don't know what to make of the Broncos.
And
Yeah.
Drew Lock's not really showing that he's the guy. You can
It's
say
tough.
the injuries, but
It's tough. Let's keep moving. 49ers versus the Patriots.
Ooh,
Good Lord. The 49ers are somehow pulling out victories still, but when you play the Patriots, the way the Patriots look now, it's
it's
pretty
time for
easy.
it.
49ers 33, Patriots 6. Cam Newton gets benched. Benched after throwing 3 interceptions. 49ers dominate from start to finish. Wilson rushes for 3 touchdowns, and the defense forces a total of 4 interceptions after Stidham came in. What do you make of Cam Newton? What do you do with Cam Newton now?
I don't know if it's all him. I mean, a lot of it, but if you're a Patriots fan, I think you're gonna be in for welcome to the shit show everyone else was in.
Welcome falling back down to
Yeah,
earth.
it's your
It's
time of
glorious.
being high and mighty. It has come to an
It's
end. Like
glorious.
today, the rumor mill and the door open that they're looking to trade Stephon Gilmore. If that deal goes through, or if they do make that, the Patriots are in full
Was
blown
he
rebuild
not
mode.
Defensive Player of the Year?
One of the top 3 best corner in the league. But like I said, right now the offense is garbage. There's no wide receivers on
Yeah,
that team.
and it's hard to put it all on Cam Newton,
Yeah,
man.
there's no running game. The offensive line is not good. That they're a bad team. Like, I think it's Bill Belichick. I think if there's a time for him to pass the reins on, I think he's going to strongly consider that very soon.
And how awesome is it to all those people that were like, Tom Brady ain't shit, no Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's still gonna figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I don't what anyone
Two
would
and four.
say.
Patriots are 2-4.
Yeah, if Tom Brady was on that team, I don't even know if that team would still be that good. When you on paper, that's a bad football team.
It could be
On
like
paper,
last year where it's just like Tom
he
Brady
would.
still finds a way to figure it
Yeah,
out, but it's just
he
not.
he'll buy you a couple wins, but then it's over. Like, the team is bad.
It'll be interesting to see how they finish the year, but they do not look good. Let's move on to the Jaguars and Chargers. Chargers win 39-29, and I tell you who is an up and coming star. Rookie quarterback Justin Herbert, totals
Oh yeah,
412 yards and 4 touchdowns. And you even go back to when he's played a good defense, when he played Tampa, he still had a great game, and he just it feels like he knows what it's all about. He doesn't have a strong demeanor. He doesn't have a very outgoing personality, but he gets the job done, man. And it stinks to look at the Chargers and say they're 2-4, but young quarterback, you figure it out. And you know,
yeah.
I like where the Chargers are headed.
Justin Herbert reminds me of a young Philip Rivers. That's when you
Well,
really look at
hopefully
it.
he does a little bit more, but
But the Chargers need to realize, okay, is the guy now. I mean, you need to start. That offensive line has been bad for a couple of years now. That needs to get fixed. Um, Melvin Ingram's not getting any younger. You still got Bosa. The secondary is but it might get to the point where Keenan Allen. Do you look to move him? Yeah, he's a veteran on the team now. Do you want to put him on a chance to win, or do you feel like you can fix that team in an off season?
yeah, I like where they're headed. Moving on to the Sunday night game and a thriller. Arizona Cardinals versus Seattle Seahawks. The Cardinals pull out a victory in that NFC West division 37-34 in overtime as Zane Gonzalez kicks the game-winning field goal. Wow. What a game.
Man,
I,
couple things. DK Metcalf. I'm telling you right now, that man was not born from a human being. He was born out of a lab.
we got to see the race. We want to see Tyreek Hill versus DK Metcalf.
Nobody that man's size should be able to run as fast as he. Buda Baker even said,
6'4", 6'5",
yeah, 230.
built like a truck.
Yeah, I mean,
Moves like a Ferrari, man.
Buda Baker was mic'd up that game, and he even said, that DK hawked my ass down. The whole Cardinals, even Patrick Peterson was like, damn, that man hawked his ass down. But
it is crazy. It's a crazy game overall. Aside from that,
but it also teaches
Wilson put up some
there.
huge numbers:
Yeah,
3 passing touchdowns, 388 yards through the air, but 3 uncharacteristic interceptions. What'd you say, Keith?
Tyler Lockett over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
that's another guy that's not talked about enough in and of itself.
3 touchdowns. Wow.
But the biggest I take away, Seattle's really showing where their weakness is, and it's their defense. The offense is putting up
about that.
ungodly numbers, but they're in the situation somewhat. It's not as bad as Dallas, but you got to be able to stop people. You can't be letting teams put up 25, 30, 40 points on you and expect the offense to put up 45 every week. I thought they were going to make a trade for Everson Griffin, but surprisingly, Detroit came out of nowhere today and made that deal for a 6th-round pick. But I'm like, if I was Seattle for a 6th-round pick, I would have made that deal. But they have no pass rush, really. That's non-existent, and it shows because the secondary is getting killed because the quarterback has plenty of time to make a play.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the final game of the Week 7 slate. Finishing it off on ESPN Monday Night Football. Rams and Bears. We thought going into it was going to be a defensive matchup, maybe a battle of field goals. Turns out the Rams played pretty darn good against that Bears defense, and the Bears offense is trash.
I don't want to say it's true. I think Matt Nagy, he came in with the same type of like Sean McVay did. Like, oh, he's an offensive genius. Where has it been since he
I
stepped in the
watched
door?
that game from start to finish, and I hated the play calling by the Chicago Bears. How
It's
many
terrible.
times are you going to take David Montgomery and do an inside handoff right into Aaron Donald and get 2 or 3 yards? Or even a loss? They did it like, I don't even know how many times.
Yeah,
You
they
targeted Allen Robinson like 3 times the whole game or
yeah,
something?
and that's a reason why I think Allen Robinson wants out of the door. That came up, but they needed. Nick Foles isn't the answer either.
No.
They need a quarterback, and you can look at what the 49ers are doing. On paper, you would say the Bears have a better offense, but Kyle Shanahan puts the players he puts them in the positions to succeed. Matt Nagy's not doing that in Chicago. Like, David Montgomery is not a between the tackles north-south runner. He's a bigger version of Tyreek or of Tarek Cohen. When I look at, it's just not there. You started the season with like 9 tight ends. You have Jimmy Graham. You drafted a tight end in the first round when you had no picks to begin with anyway. You don't need tight ends. You need receivers. You need weapons. Like, you have Allen Robinson. You don't use him. And when you use them, you win games. What a philosophy!
It was just a weird game overall.
But I'm telling you, it's going to get to the point where the Bears are lucky that they have the record they do, but it's going to get to the point where if they don't win, guys like Khalil Mack, Eddie Jackson, Akeem Hicks, they're not going to stick around. You're wasting your prime, an elite defense, and you're wasting it because the offense is garbage.
Meanwhile, the Bears' only touchdown in that game was by the defense.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like it was the Ravens of 2000 because it's a different feel. Like that defense would only allow 10 points, and that's all that's all you needed to win because you just asked the offense to score 10 or 13 and you win a game. But it's the Bears, man. They're not a good winning record team. I guess
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Well, that finishes out for Week 7, and it was, I don't know. There's a lot of question marks. Patriots,
Yeah,
Falcons, do they dump? Cowboys,
and then the top tier
and the
teams,
Jets are still winless.
he penalized the team for taking what happened. People, all the Titans. Titans are still a good team in my eyes.
Yes.
You just
That
ran
leads
into
us.
an absolute force.
That leads us into our power rankings, and we didn't get Jordan's take on that. Yeah, I just thought of that. But Keith and I will give you guys our take. I'll go first. A little shake up in my top 5, but Steelers got to be number 1. Only undefeated team. They beat the Titans. It was a tough game, but they beat the Titans. Titans are a good team. The only undefeated team that it's only right that they go at number 1, and they're trending up. Like, you watch their games, they look good on both sides of the ball. Their defense is good. Number 2, put the Chiefs back up there. They continue to win games in convincing fashion against the teams that are like the Broncos and stuff. But I feel like they do have close matchups, but I just feel like they still find a way to win. Defending Super Bowl champions. I'm going to keep that too. Number 3, it's not biased. Maybe a little bit. I put the Tampa Bay Buccaneers number 3. I might be moving too fast. My excitement and fanship might be getting the best of me. But their defense is phenomenal. They do everything right. I, barring injury, if they can stay healthy, Bucks will go to the Super Bowl. Write it down. Take a picture of it. It's in Tampa. It's only right. It's never been done before, but whatever. The Bucks at 3. I went back and forth with 4 and 5. Keith's gonna hate me for this. I put the Ravens at 4. I just, I know they can't pass, Keith. I know, and I know they're getting desperate and they're going in and signing guys like Des Bryant, hoping for something. But you got Lamar Jackson, who doesn't really throw the football in general. But I just feel like if they can get their running game going, and their defense as good as is, they'll be all right. And the Titans, I think, will bounce back. I got Titans at 5, and yeah, they'll still hang around my top 5. I went back and forth. I should have put the Packers in there, but I didn't know where to place them. And the Bucks beat the Packers convincingly. So I don't know, Keith. What do you got?
Well, mine's not too far off from you right at the top. I got the Steelers at 1. Obviously, I had them as a dark horse team. If you want to go back to our earlier episodes, I told you the Steelers were going to be there. They're too good of a team right now. At 2, I do have the Chiefs, but a lot of that just hinges on, I think Mahomes wins you games. My concern was when the Raiders beat them, they kind of hit there. At 3, this is where it kind of gets a little iffy. The reason why I have them above my 4th place team is I think the offense is a little bit more explosive. But I have the Seahawks at 3, even though they did take the loss to Arizona. I still think that the Seahawks are a top-tier team, especially with Russell back there. I got to keep them there. I did drop them down, though. But at 4, I do have the Bucks at 4. Man, there's really nothing negative to say other than I'm concerned with the injuries of wide receiver a little bit. But the defense, obviously losing Vita Vea hurt, but getting McClendon in helps.
And he made some plays.
Yeah, he did. He's a veteran back there, but depending on how next week goes, the Bucks are trending up.
Yes.
And then at 5, this is where I was a little hesitant. I have the Titans at 5. I still think the Titans are a great team. But they can easily be flipped for the Packers. I mean, it was hard. I want to put them up there. It's just I think after watching the Packers take that loss to Tampa, the Bucks exposed them better than anybody else really did. But you could easily say the Packers are at 5, but I still have the Titans there. I just think
I like
King
that.
Henry. My biggest concern with Tennessee is their secondary. Can they hold up long enough to give that team a chance, and the special teams that plays a huge hit. So I got Pittsburgh at 1, KC at 2, Seattle at 3, Tampa at 4, Tennessee at 5. If there's a 5A, 5B, Tennessee.
I like that. No. I like your list. That's a good list. Let's keep it moving real quick. We're running out of time. Fantasy standouts for this upcoming Week 8 in the NFL season. I put Justin Herbert. I also have Keenan Allen. I just feel like anybody playing against the Broncos will put up good numbers, and you got a guy like Justin Herbert who's figuring it out quickly, and a talent like Keenan Allen has. They're going to hook up for, if not a touchdown, at least 2 touchdowns, and that's a double whammy. Who you got, Keith?
The standout I have is A.J. Brown in Tennessee. He's definitely
great.
He's definitely Tannehill's number 1 go-to. If it's not a rushing play to Derrick Henry, the target goes A.J. Brown, and then Geno Smith, and everybody else.
I feel
Geno
like
Smith
Corey
had a
Davis is getting a lot of.
Corey Davis is good. I think Geno Smith came back off of injury. He only had one catch last week, but he's going to pick it back up. It's a lot of that was they got to get him in the game, let him get back to pass. He's a good pass blocker too and run blocker. But I think he'll get back on track. But AJ Brown definitely stood out. That since he's came back from injury, he's showing why he was a top tier fantasy receiver last year again.
Yeah.
So he's definitely a standout.
I like that. No, that'll be good. We'll look ahead to week 8? Wow, we're already in week 8 of the NFL season. I'm pleasantly surprised that we've made it this far, considering all the outstanding stuff going on in this country. Anyways, that's a topic for another day.
Yeah,
Moving
next
on
week,
a week.
though, keep an eye out, man. I would tell you this game to watch out for is Steelers and Ravens. That's really going to be a telling game. If the Steelers can shut the Baltimore down, that division is the Steelers there.
Surprisingly, Baltimore is favored by 4.
A lot of that is because Lamar Jackson last year, what he did against them, but I don't think that's going to fly.
This is a different team. I don't even think Ben Roethlisberger played in that game.
No, and it's a healthy Pittsburgh. Outside of losing Devin Bush,
their defense is
Pittsburgh defense right
all
now.
Ravens can do is rush, and the Steelers' rush defense is pretty darn good. But that Thursday game to start off Week 8 will be the Falcons and Panthers. I look to see the Panthers win that game. And it could be in the fourth quarter when the Falcons blow another lead. Carolina is favored by 3. Man. I don't know how I feel about this game.
It's another shit bowl Thursday.
Is that just like...
You know what?
The Panthers are decent, but the Falcons, I don't even...
Well, the Bucks got Monday night, so that's good. But they got the Giants, so
that'll be a
the Giants have been Brady's kryptonite.
Yeah, I think this is different, dude.
But what's criminal is the Cowboys and Eagles are Sunday night football.
Oh my God, I see that.
Cowboys and Eagles are Sunday
Nothing
night.
Like listening to Chris Collinsworth and watching the Cowboys and Eagles play.
You can't switch that?
Oh God. Yeah, you adjusted easily the Bucks and Raiders game, which should have been prime time, which would have been awesome. Not to say that the Seahawks-Cardinals game wasn't. That was really good. But anyways, Falcons and Panthers will start off Week 8 of that NFL season on Fox, 8:20 p.m. And we're thinking about doing something different here at 3 in the Box. We've been talking it over with our financial expert, Jordan. And we might dive into what is known as sports betting. Sports betting, and it's a very hot topic, and it's hot trending.
We get a lot of questions.
Who do I play? Who do you think is going to win?
What's the over-unders? What's the who should I put?
Right.
My pick was, but who's going to be the wild card team? Like, we get more of those than general sports questions.
And we're making some decent money doing that. And it's a nice side hustle, and it's something that we're looking about diving into here. And so stick around. We are going to make some videos on sporting advice for the upcoming weeks. We haven't ironed out the details about how we're going to do that as far as per game, per week. Do we want to do like some sort of DraftKings style where we do pick players? Do we want to just do pick teams and how much they'll win by? We still got to iron that out, but we are welcoming any comments, any suggestions. Like, what do you want? What would you look for when you're going and you're sports betting? Like, you go on YouTube or the internet and search about who do I want to win? Do you play DraftKings or FanDuel more? Like, we welcome all these questions. Hit us up on our social media at 3 in the Box. And I think that's it.
We're gonna be having our one of our friends, Danny, who's one of our original followers. He works for FanDuel.
There
So
you
he's
go.
getting on the
What
show.
a transition.
He's going to be talking to us a little bit about, what that's like and everything. So he's going to be one of our
I
first
like
guys
it.
we're going to have on talking about that.
That'll be a good inaugural episode diving into our sports betting. A guy that works for FanDuel.
Yeah. So, we're going to get that right from the source.
But that's going to do it for us on 3 in the Box Sports Podcast. Filling in for Jordan. I'm your number 1 box, Frost. That's your number 2 box, Big Keith. As always, we are 3 in the Box.